May we begin? Good morning, Sangha. Welcome to everybody joining us now from YouTube and Zoom. It's good to see you all this morning, albeit virtually. My given name is Caleb, but my Dharma name is Tongjin Su, and I'm comfortable with you calling me either or. We're getting back into using Zoom and YouTube after having temporarily reopened and now closing again. So just so you know, we'll be recording this session on Zoom so that we can post it later to YouTube and other socials. We hope to see a lot of your faces in the Zoom room this morning, but if you prefer to remain anonymous, you can disable your video and change your Zoom profile name. You can click the three little dots at the corner of your screen, and that's in your Zoom profile box, and then change your name to something anonymous, and as well as disable your video. We will recite from our Rituals and Practices booklet at the beginning and the end of this service this morning. You can find a link if you don't have a physical copy. You can find a link to a PDF, a digital version, in the Zoom chat or in the description of the YouTube video. At the end of the Dharma talk, everyone will be unmuted and we'll have a chance to speak. We'll have a little virtual tea session afterward, and we hope you join us for some conversation and connection. Before we begin, I'd also like to thank our tech team, who's working very hard behind the scenes, Brian and Bethany, who are helping me out this morning. So major kudos to them. All right. Please join me in reciting the three refuges. I go for refuge to Buddha, my deeply awakened mind, the living source of understanding and compassion which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Dharma, the path of mindful living leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to the Sangha, the loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I am aware that the three jewels are within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering. I vow to cultivate loving kindness and compassion and to practice joy and equanimity. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with few possessions, and to keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I am aware that I owe so much to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living beings be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha support my efforts. All right, if you look to the next page, page 8 in your book, we will now recite the Heart Sutra. We recite the name at the beginning as well. The Maha Prajna Paramita Hridaya Sutra. The Bodhisattva of great compassion, from the deep practice of prajna paramita, perceived the emptiness of all five skandhas and delivered all beings from their suffering. O Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is emptiness, emptiness form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse, and consciousness. O Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. They are not born nor annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no form, sound, smell, taste, touch, nor objects of mind, no realm of sight, no realm of consciousness, no ignorance, nor extinction of ignorance, no old age and death, nor extinction of them, no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cease from suffering, no path to lead out of suffering, no knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but prajna paramita. Therefore, the mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance, there is no fear. Away from all perverted views, one enters final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith in prajna paramita, attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. Know then the prajna paramita is the great Dharani, the radiant peerless mantram, the utmost supreme mantram, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the prajna paramita. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, bodhiswaha. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, bodhiswaha. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, bodhiswaha. The Maha Prajna Paramita Hridaya Sutra. And we bow. Well, again, good morning to you all. I'm wondering if perhaps you've had this experience. You're in a bookstore and you're wandering up and down looking through the shelves. And if you're anything like me, you're probably looking for a Dharma book. You pull a book from the shelf and it says something like Zen and the Art of Dance, or Zen and the Art of Pottery, or Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. I think my dad actually has a Zen and the Art of Golf book on his own bookshelf. So I was wondering the other day, why is this? Or what is this? This publishing phenomenon. I did a little Google research and found dozens upon dozens upon dozens of books that all start with this same title, Zen and the Art of something, right? So it got me wondering, how is Zen, our practice here of Zen, connected to all these different activities? And more importantly, how is it connected to art? What is it about this practice of sitting in Zazen, cross-legged, counting our breaths, watching thoughts come and go like clouds through a clear blue sky? What does this have to do with dance or pottery, cooking, or golf, right? So the title of today's Dharma talk is Zen and the Art of Anything. What I'm interested in exploring with you today is, what is it about Zen that makes it apparently so adaptable to so many different arts and activities? So, like I said, I did a little Google research. I got on my computer and I learned that the first book that was ever published with a title like this is called Zen in the Art of Archery. It was written by Eugen Herrigel, real unique name. He was a German philosopher who had the opportunity to teach philosophy in Japan while immersing himself in the Japanese way of life. And this was sometime in the late 1800s, early 1900s, before the World Wars. Japan was cautiously opening its borders to folks from the West. And they invited Herrigel, who was a renowned professor of Western philosophy at the time, to teach at some of their universities. Herrigel was a big fan of mystic literature, actually, and he had a secret fascination with Zen. So he leapt at the chance to be able to go over to Japan and learn a little bit about Zen firsthand. So his wife went with him, and she learned the art of Japanese flower arranging, ikebana, while he learned the Japanese practice of what's called temple archery, or kyudo. He found a teacher, and his teacher's name was Awa Kenzo. He was a very eccentric man and a Zen Buddhist who saw archery as more than just a sport, but a spiritual practice. Here's how Kenzo described it in his own words. He said, "Trust in the practice of the way of the bow. Archery is not an art, it is a way. When you practice the way, it is not just training and technique. It is spiritual forging. Forging your spirit is to become empty and to focus on your center. To become empty is to become one with the divine. This is the way. To attain the way is to manifest the way. The way of the bow is to manifest your own self-Buddha nature and arrive at the ultimate." Throughout that passage, also, way is capitalized, right? The way. As an instructor, Kenzo was not very interested in efficiency, accuracy, or power of his students. Kenzo was interested only in archery as a way of cultivating a certain state of body and mind. Herrigel described this state as one in which nothing definite is thought, planned, striven for, desired, or expected. Like water filling a pond, which is always ready to flow off again, it can work its inexhaustible power because it is free, and be open to everything because it is empty. However, Herrigel learned that reaching this state of emptiness can be very difficult. He spent nearly 5 years just practicing how to draw the bowstring properly before he ever fired an arrow. He didn't even shoot at a target until he reached his 7th year training with Kenzo. Kenzo said that he was waiting for the moment when Herrigel did not shoot, but when it shoots. He said it was something that had to occur as naturally as fruit falling from a tree when it is ripe. The trick for Herrigel was learning how to do something without trying to do something, without trying to gain something from the act. And as far as Zen is concerned, he learned that the end results really have nothing to do with it and nothing to do with our practice. So the author of Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, Shunryu Suzuki, he offers a little bit of wisdom that I found pertinent to this idea of doing things without doing things, or without trying to do things, doing things naturally. He says, when you give up, when you no longer want something, or when you do not try to do anything special, then you truly do something. When there is no gaining idea in what you do, then you truly do something. In Zazen, what you do is not for the sake of anything. You may feel as if you are doing something special, but actually it is only the expression of your true nature. So laying aside archery and all these other activities for a moment, let's think about our practice of Zazen. What is our practice of sitting meditation anyway? We may sit in a chair or on our cushion. We fold our hands, keep them in our lap, or we place them on our legs, and we count our breaths as they come and go. And thoughts arise, they enter our mind, and we let them go. Feelings arise, enter the mind, and we let them go. Noises, itches, smells, things to add to the to-do list. All these phenomena arise, enter the mind, and we let them go as we exhale, right? Inhale and exhale. The thread running throughout this entire process is the breath, the constant inhale and exhale of our body. Moreover, in meditation, how do we breathe? Do we force it? Control it, grip it tightly, right? Exerting our willpower upon every inhale and exhale? No, we just breathe naturally. And that's the most astounding thing too, right? We don't have to exert any special thought to keep our heart beating or to get our lungs to breathe. We sleep 8 hours in a night, and not once do I have to wake up to remind myself and tell myself to breathe. We just breathe. It just happens. Alan Watts said, as with every other aspect of Zen, breathing is always hindered by striving for it. And for this reason, beginners in the breathing technique often develop a peculiar anxiety of feeling unable to breathe unless keeping up with conscious control. So it must be remembered that breath will always take care of itself. This is not so much a breathing exercise, so much as a watching and letting of the breath. It is always a serious mistake to undertake it in the spirit of a compulsive discipline to be practiced with a goal in mind. Again, I turn back to Suzuki, who says, as long as you think you're practicing Zazen for the sake of something, that is not true practice. At the end of the day, though, we are humans, right? And we must simply do things. We must work and drive and walk, create art, and play at different activities. We are not monastics. We carry on with our lives in the world, right? We don't spend all our days just sitting on our cushions and watching our breath come and go. But we do spend all day breathing. That is the thread that not only runs through our Zazen practice and our practice on the cushion, but it is the thread that runs through every single activity that we engage in. That is why for the first year of Herrigel's training, Master Kenzo pressed him to merely practice drawing the bowstring in line with his inhale. And then release the arrow with the exhale. This breath is what links our practice on the cushion to our practices off the cushion. So now returning to doing things, to doing art or doing activities. For me personally, one thing I do is I play the drums. I'm a drummer. And for me, the greatest moments when I am playing by myself or with others are the moments when I am not trying to do any special thing. I'm not trying to do a special groove or a special fill or come up with a special beat. But instead, as I am playing, I stop playing the drums and the drums play me, you could say, or it plays. These are like the spontaneous moments in meditation when our constant waterfall of thoughts cease. And we simply sit, we simply breathe, we simply enter be. And I think this is why musicians love jam sessions so much, because it's in the jam when all definite goals are abandoned, right? There's no goal in jamming. The only goal is perhaps just to make some music, right? And there will be these moments that spontaneously arrive in the jam when someone comes up with a really good guitar riff or a really amazing groove or a great beat. And this new thing spontaneously arises in the moment. To refer again to Shunryu Suzuki, he says a little bit along these lines, but about cooking. He says, to cook or to fix some food is not preparation, or like preparation for practice. According to Dogen, it is practice. To cook is not just to prepare food for someone or yourself. It is to express your sincerity. So when you cook, you should express yourself in your activity in the kitchen. You should allow yourself plenty of time. You should work on it with nothing in your mind and without expecting anything. You should just cook. The Bodhisattva has only one way. His way is in each moment to express his nature or his or her sincerity. What I want to drive home at in this Dharma talk this morning is that our everyday life is not apart from our Zen practice, and neither are the hobbies, arts, or games we engage in either. Our Zen practice is not apart from or separate. It's not something we compartmentalize and put away in the corner. Rather, it is, well, think about it like this. Our everyday life is Zen practice. Our chief activity in meditation is stillness, stilling of the mind and stilling of the body. But after meditation, we bring this stillness into our activities. It makes me think of the old koan, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Every Sunday, at the end of our services, we recite our Bodhisattva vows, saying, Dharma gates are without number. I vow to penetrate them. In every single moment of our lives, a Dharma gate arises. It could be cooking, it could be pottery, it could be golf, or it could be archery. Maybe it's just driving in traffic or sweeping the floor of our kitchen. Either way, it is up to us as practitioners how we choose to meet these moments, breath by breath. Please prepare yourselves for meditation. Welcome back. I believe now it's time for announcements. Where I'm at right now, I'm not able to see what's happening on Zoom. So I will defer to the tech team to help me out for when announcements are finished. But if anybody has an announcement to share, now's the time to do so. No announcements, Brian? No? Okay. Well, I'd advise anyone interested in learning more about the goings-on at the temple, sign up for the newsletter if you're not signed up for the newsletter yet on the website, because each week there are events such as various Buddhist-based recovery group meetings, Dharma discussion groups. Brian, who is helping with the tech team today, Brian and I are organizing an event on September 4th from 9 to noon. We'll meet in the temple parking lot, and the goal is to meet some of the needs of some of the unhoused folks in our neighborhood. We have neighbors with means and we have neighbors with needs. So with water bottles and snacks and all sorts of supplies needed for living on the streets, we're going to spend some time with some unhoused folks. So if you're interested in that, you can also find more information about that in the newsletter. If there are no further announcements, we will recite our closing gathas together. You can find that on page 9 in the booklet. Together we say, for all unskillful action ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thoughts, now I atone for them all. Vast is the robe of compassion, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Buddha's teachings for the benefit of all sentient beings. All beings, one body, I vow to liberate. Endless blind passions, I vow to uproot. Dharma gates beyond number, I vow to penetrate. The great way of Buddha, I vow to attain. All right, following service, please join us for our virtual tea and conversation over Zoom. Thank you, everybody who joined us this morning.